December 1944. The Ardennes Forest. A German infantry company is dug in near Bastogne. 200 men, veterans. They have fought in Poland, in France, in Russia. They have survived everything the war has thrown at them. They are eating breakfast, cold rations, frozen bread, ersatz coffee. They do not hear the whistle. There is no whistle. At exactly 07:42 hours, the world ends. Not one explosion, not a sequence of explosions, one simultaneous impact. 200 shells from 18 different artillery battalions, fired from positions scattered across 10 miles, timed to land at the exact same split second. No warning, no chance to take cover, no chance to run, just erasure. When the smoke clears, there is nothing left. No bodies, no equipment, no position. Just a crater where 200 men used to exist. This is time on target, the mathematical doom, the weapon that turned the United States Army from a joke into the most terrifying killing machine in human history. But to understand how America built this weapon of annihilation, you must first understand how pathetic it was before. 1940. The German Wehrmacht conquers France in 6 weeks. Panzers race across the countryside. Stukas scream from the sky. The French army, the largest in Europe, collapses like wet paper. The world watches in horror. And the United States Army? The United States Army is practicing maneuvers in Louisiana, using trucks with signs that say tank, because they do not have enough real tanks. This is not an exaggeration. This is not a joke. This is the reality of the American military in 1940. The U.S. Army is ranked 17th in the world. 17th, behind Poland, behind Romania, behind Portugal. The army has 174,000 men. The Germans have over 3 million. The army has fewer than 500 tanks. The Germans have thousands. The army has artillery pieces designed in 1917. The Germans have the 88. America is not ready for war. America is not even ready for a border skirmish. America is a museum exhibit pretending to be a military. The backbone of American artillery in 1940 is the French 75. The French 75. Think about that name. A weapon designed by France in 1897. 43 years old. A weapon from the era of cavalry charges and trench warfare. A weapon that was obsolete before Hitler was even a corporal. This is what America plans to fight the Wehrmacht with. The 75 is a fine gun for 1916. It fires a 75mm shell, maximum range 8,000 meters, rate of fire 15 rounds per minute with a good crew. The German 10.5 howitzer fires a 105mm shell, maximum range 10,500 meters. The German 15 cm howitzer reaches 13,000 meters, and the 88, the legendary 88, can kill a tank at 2,000 meters and reach aircraft at 8,000. American artillery is outranged. American artillery is outclassed. American artillery is a death sentence for the men who operate it. And it gets worse. The American system for directing artillery fire is from the First World War. Each battery calculates its own firing solutions. Each battery commander adjusts his own guns. There is no coordination. There is no centralization. There is no speed. A forward observer spots a target. He radios the coordinates to his battery. The battery commander pulls out a map. He measures distances. He calculates angles. He adjusts for wind, for temperature, for the rotation of the Earth. This takes 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. In 10 to 15 minutes, a German panzer company can advance 2 kilometers. In 10 to 15 minutes, German infantry can dig in or disperse. In 10 to 15 minutes, the target is gone. American artillery does not hit the enemy. American artillery hits where the enemy used to be. Part 3. The Blitzkrieg. Now look at the Germans. The Wehrmacht has perfected mobile warfare, Blitzkrieg, lightning war. Panzers punch through enemy lines, infantry follows in trucks and half-tracks, Stukas provide close air support, and artillery, German artillery moves with the advance. German forward observers ride in tanks and armoured vehicles. They have radios. They call in fire missions in real time. German battery commanders receive coordinates and respond in minutes. Not 10 minutes, not 15 minutes, minutes. German artillery is a scalpel, precise, fast, deadly. American artillery is a rusty hammer, slow, clumsy, obsolete. The Germans have studied artillery as a science. They have mathematics. They have ballistics tables. They have pre-calculated firing solutions for every possible scenario. The Americans have sergeants with pencils doing long division under fire. This is the gap. This is the chasm. This is why military experts in 1940 look at the US Army and see a corpse waiting to happen. Part 4. The Fear. 1941, December 7th. Pearl Harbor burns. America is at war. And the generals know the truth. If American ground forces fight the Wehrmacht in their current state, they will be annihilated. The equipment is obsolete, the tactics are obsolete, the doctrine is obsolete. American boys will climb into trucks marked tank and drive toward panzers. American artillerymen will fire French 75s at enemies they cannot reach. American infantry will advance into barrages they cannot suppress. And they will die, by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. The Germans have been fighting for 2 years. They have conquered Poland in 27 days. They have conquered France in 46 days. They have pushed to the gates of Moscow. Their soldiers are veterans. Their officers are experienced. Their equipment is battle-tested. America has boys fresh from farms and factories. America has officers who have never heard a shot fired in anger. America has equipment that belongs in museums. This is the reality of December 1941. This is the terror that keeps generals awake at night. This is the question that has no answer. How do you fight a war with an army that cannot fight? But America has something the Germans do not understand, something they have never faced, something that will turn the tide of the entire war. Industry, innovation, and a willingness to throw away everything that does not work. In a quiet corner of Oklahoma, at a place called Fort Sill, a group of officers is about to change the nature of warfare forever. They do not know it yet. They are just trying to solve a problem. The problem is simple. American artillery is too slow. American artillery is too uncoordinated. American artillery cannot mass fires on a single target. The solution will be revolutionary. A room full of mathematicians, a new way of calculating death, a system that will turn dozens of scattered guns into a single weapon of annihilation. They will call it the Fire Direction Center. and it will make the United States Army the most terrifying artillery force in human history. But that is the next chapter. For now, in December 1941, America is a paper tiger, a museum army, a joke with a flag. The transformation is coming. The mathematical doom is coming. But first, America must learn how badly it is outclassed, and that lesson will be written in blood. Part 1, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, 1942. Flat, dusty, empty. Nothing but prairie grass and howling wind for 100 miles. In the middle of this nowhere, there is a base, Fort Sill, the United States Army Field Artillery School. This is where young officers come to learn how to kill with cannons. This is where doctrine is written. This is where the future of American warfare is being invented. In a small building near the firing ranges, a group of officers is working on a problem. They have no budget. They have no recognition. They have no guarantee that anyone will listen to them. But they have an idea that will change everything. Part 2, the problem. The problem is coordination. In the current system, each artillery battery is an island. The battery commander is God. He receives target coordinates. He calculates the firing solution. He adjusts his guns. He fires. This works. Slowly, badly, but it works. The problem comes when you need multiple batteries to hit the same target. Battery A is 2 miles from the target. Battery B is 4 miles from the target. Battery C is 3 miles away at a different angle. Each battery must calculate its own solution. Each battery commander must adjust independently. Each battery fires when ready. The shells arrive scattered. Some hit early, some hit late. Some miss entirely. The enemy hears the first shell. The enemy takes cover. The subsequent shells hit empty ground. This is not artillery. This is noise. The Germans do it better. They mass fires. They coordinate. They kill. America must learn to do the same, or America will lose. Part 3. The heresy. The officers at Fort Sill propose something radical, something that violates a century of artillery tradition, something that will make them enemies in their own army. They propose taking control away from the battery commanders. Heresy. Absolute heresy. Battery commanders are gods. They control their guns. They make the decisions. They bear the responsibility. This is how artillery has worked since Napoleon. The Fort Sill officers say, no more. No more individual calculations. No more scattered fires. No more battery commanders playing solo. One brain will control all the guns. One room will do all the math. One system will turn chaos into precision. They call it the Fire Direction Center, the FDC. Part 4. The Brain. The Fire Direction Center is not a weapon. It is a room, a quiet room, a room full of maps, charts, slide rules, and men who are very good at mathematics. The FDC receives information from forward observers, eyes on the battlefield, men in foxholes with radios and binoculars. They see the enemy. They report coordinates. The FDC takes these coordinates and does something revolutionary. It calculates firing solutions for every gun in the battalion, simultaneously. Battery A, elevation 32 degrees, deflection 12 mils, charge 3. Battery B, elevation 28 degrees, deflection 8 mils, charge 4. Battery C, elevation 30 degrees, deflection 15 mils, charge 3. All calculated in one room, all transmitted by radio, all fired on command. The battery commanders become executors. They receive orders. They point their guns. They pull the lanyards. The thinking is done elsewhere. The math is done elsewhere. The control is centralized. Individual genius is replaced by the system, and the system does not make mistakes. Part 5. The Slide Rules. Inside the FDC, there are no computers. Computers do not exist yet. There are only men with pencils, men with protractors, men with slide rules. The slide rule is the weapon of the FDC. A wooden stick with sliding scales. It can multiply, it can divide, it can calculate logarithms and trigonometric functions. In the hands of a trained operator, it can calculate a firing solution in 90 seconds. 90 seconds. The old system took 15 minutes. The FDC does it in 90 seconds. 10 times faster. 10 times more deadly. And it scales. One FDC can control 6 guns, or 12 guns, or 50 guns. The math is the same. The process is the same. Only the number of calculations changes. Give the FDC more men with slide rules, and it can control more guns. Give it better communications, and it can coordinate across larger areas. Give it a doctrine that emphasizes massed fires, and it becomes a weapon of annihilation. This is the revolution. Not a new gun, not a new shell, a new way of thinking. While Fort Sill perfects the FDC, American industry awakens. The giant stirs. The giant rises. The giant begins to produce. The old French 75s are scrapped, melted down, forgotten. In their place, new weapons roll off the assembly lines. The M2A1 105mm howitzer, 33 pounds of high explosive per shell, range 11,000 meters, rate of fire 8 rounds per minute. This is the new standard. The backbone of American artillery, thousands of them, tens of thousands. And for the heavy work, the M1 155mm howitzer, the Long Tom, 95 pounds of high explosive per shell, range 23,000 meters, 23 kilometers, further than the eye can see, further than the enemy can run. The factories run day and night, 3 shifts, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Steel flows into molds, barrels are rifled, carriages are assembled. By the end of 1942, American artillery production exceeds German artillery production. By 1943, it doubles it. By 1944, it triples it. The giant is not just awake, the giant is hungry. Now the pieces come together. The Fire Direction Center provides the brain. The forward observers provide the eyes. The factories provide the guns. The doctrine provides the purpose. Massed fires, coordinated fires, fires that arrive without warning, fires that erase everything they touch. The American artillery system is no longer a collection of batteries. It is a single organism, a hydra with 100 heads, a brain that commands and guns that obey. In early 1943, the system is ready. Tested at Fort Sill, proven in exercises, refined through thousands of practice rounds. Now it needs a real test, a test against the Wehrmacht, a test against the best army in the world. The test is coming, in the deserts of North Africa, at a place called El Guettar. The mathematical doom is about to announce itself. and the Germans have no idea what is coming. Part 1. Tunisia. March 1943. North Africa, Tunisia. The desert is cold at night, cold and silent, the kind of silence that swallows sound. American forces have landed in Operation Torch. They have pushed east from Morocco and Algeria. Now they face the Africa Corps, Rommel's veterans, the best Germany has. The Americans have already been humiliated once. Kasserine Pass, February, a disaster. Green American troops ran from German panzers. Entire units collapsed. Equipment was abandoned. Men died because they did not know how to fight. The Germans laughed. The Americans are amateurs, they said. Chocolate soldiers, they said. They will melt in the heat of real war. Kasserine confirmed everything the Wehrmacht believed about Americans. Soft, undisciplined, incapable of standing against German steel. But Kasserine was February. This is March, and something has changed. El Guettar, a valley in southern Tunisia. Mountains on both sides, a narrow pass leading east. The American 1st Infantry Division holds the pass, the big red one. They have dug in. They are waiting. Behind them, hidden in the hills, are the guns. 36 artillery pieces, 105mm howitzers, organized into 3 battalions, all connected to a single fire direction center. The forward observers are positioned on the ridges. They have radios. They have binoculars. They can see for miles across the desert floor. The trap is set. Now they wait for the prey. March 23rd, 0600 hours, dawn. The 10th Panzer Division rolls towards El Guettar. 50 tanks, Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs, veterans of 100 battles. They are supported by infantry, motorized, experienced, confident. The division commander is not worried. He has read the reports from Kasserine. Americans run. Americans panic. Americans cannot fight. This will be easy. Punch through the pass, scatter the defenders, advance to the coast, cut the Allied supply lines. By noon, the Americans will be running again. The panzers advance in formation, engines rumbling, tracks clattering, dust rising in great clouds behind them. They enter the valley. They approach the pass. They see the American positions ahead. The lead tank commander raises his binoculars. He sees infantry. He sees anti-tank guns. He sees nothing that worries him. He gives the order, advance. On the ridge above the valley, a forward observer watches. Sergeant William Chen, 24 years old, a math teacher from Ohio before the war. He counts the tanks. He estimates the range. He calculates the grid coordinates. Then he picks up his radio. Fire Direction Center, this is OP7, fire mission. Grid reference 473921. Enemy armor, approximately 50 tanks, advancing west. Request battalion 5 rounds. The message takes 11 seconds. In the FDC bunker, the radio crackles. The fire direction officer marks the coordinates on his map. He turns to his team. Coordinates 473921, enemy armor, battalion 5 rounds, calculate. 6 men with slide rules go to work. Elevation, deflection, charge, time of flight. 90 seconds later, the calculations are complete. The fire direction officer picks up his radio. All batteries, fire mission, elevation 32, deflection 147.
Charge 4, 5 rounds, fire on my command.
He pauses. He checks his watch. He waits for the second hand to reach 12.
Fire. 3 miles behind the ridge, 36 howitzers roar. Simultaneously, 180 shells arc into the sky. Time of flight, 47 seconds. The German tanks are still advancing. The crews hear nothing. They suspect nothing. They are focused on the American positions ahead. 47 seconds. The first shells land among the panzers. Not scattered, not random, concentrated. 180 explosions, 33 pounds of high explosive each, a carpet of fire and steel. 3 tanks are destroyed instantly, direct hits, turrets blown off, crews incinerated. 7 more are damaged, tracks broken, engines burning, crews bailing out into the killing ground. The infantry behind the tanks is scythed down. Men disappear in the explosions, bodies are thrown through the air. Survivors crawl for cover that does not exist. The German commander is stunned. Where is that coming from? He cannot see the guns. He cannot hear the guns. He only sees the death. The forward observer watches the impacts. He adjusts. OP7 to FDC. Good effect on target. Drop 50.
Fire for effect. The FDC recalculates. 12 seconds. New coordinates go out. The guns fire again. Another volley. Another carpet of death. More tanks burning. More infantry dying. The Germans try to advance. The shells follow them. They try to retreat. The shells follow them. They try to disperse. The shells find them anyway. 3 minutes between volleys. Not 15, not 10, 3. Every 3 minutes the hammer falls. Every 3 minutes more Germans die. Every 3 minutes the mathematical doom claims its toll. Part 7. The Retreat. By 0900 hours, the attack is broken. The 10th Panzer Division retreats, what is left of it. 30 tanks destroyed or disabled, over 300 infantry dead. The rest fleeing east, away from the invisible guns. The American lines have not moved. The American infantry has barely fired. The American anti-tank guns have engaged only stragglers. The battle was won by artillery alone. The German commander files his report that evening. His hands are still shaking. The American artillery is not what we expected. Their fire is coordinated beyond anything we have encountered. Response time is minimal. Accuracy is exceptional. We could not see the guns.
We could not suppress the guns. We could only die.
He concludes with a warning. This is not the army we fought at Kasserine. Something has changed. We must adjust our tactics, or we will be destroyed. The report goes up the chain of command. It is read by generals. It is filed away. It is ignored. The Wehrmacht does not believe that Americans can fight. The Wehrmacht has not yet learned the truth. But they will learn. In Normandy, in the Bulge, in the ruins of their own country. The mathematical doom has announced itself. El Guettar is just the beginning. The Bocage, June 1944, Normandy, France. The Allies have landed. D-Day is over. The beachheads are secure. Now comes the hard part. The Bocage, a nightmare landscape of hedgerows and sunken lanes, fields divided by earthen walls 10 feet thick, walls topped with ancient trees and tangled brush. Each field is a fortress. Each hedgerow is a defensive line. Each lane is a killing ground. The Germans know this terrain. They have fortified it, machine gun nests in every corner,
mortars pre-registered on every intersection, panzers hidden behind every wall. The American advance slows to a crawl, 100 yards a day, sometimes less. Every field costs blood.
Every hedgerow costs lives. Every mile costs a battalion. But the Americans have something the Germans do not understand, something they cannot see, something that never sleeps. The guns. Mathematics of death. By 1944, the Fire Direction Centre has evolved. It is no longer controlling single battalions, it is controlling entire corps. 18 battalions, 200 guns, all linked to one brain, all responding to one command. And the mathematicians at Fort Sill have perfected something new, something terrible, something that will haunt German soldiers for the rest of their lives. Time on target, TOT. The concept is simple. The execution is diabolical. Different guns are different distances from the target. Battery A is 3 miles away. Battery B is 7 miles away. Battery C is 5 miles away. A shell from Battery A takes 23 seconds to reach the target. A shell from Battery B takes 41 seconds. A shell from Battery C takes 32 seconds. In normal artillery fire, these shells arrive scattered. 23 seconds, then 32 seconds, then 41 seconds. The first shell warns the enemy. They take cover. The subsequent shells hit empty ground. Time on target reverses this. Battery B fires first. 18 seconds later, Battery C fires. 9 seconds after that, Battery A fires. All 3 shells arrive at the exact same moment. No warning, no whistle, no time to react. Just instantaneous annihilation. Part 3. The scale. Now multiply this by 200 guns. 200 shells, fired from positions scattered across 15 miles, timed to land within a 1-second window. 1 second. The human brain cannot process this. The human body cannot react to this. One moment there is silence. The next moment there is death. The FDC calculates everything: distance, elevation, muzzle velocity, air temperature, wind speed, propellant temperature, rotation of the Earth. Every variable accounted for, every shell timed to the fraction of a second. The slide rules work. The radios crackle. The commands go out. Battery Alpha, fire at 0742 and 17 seconds. Battery Bravo, fire at 0741 and 53 seconds. Battery Charlie, fire at 0742 and 02 seconds. And so on, for 200 guns. At the appointed moment, 200 lanyards are pulled. 200 breech blocks slam shut. 200 shells arc into the sky. They converge from all directions, from all distances, and they arrive together. Unteroffizier Hans Müller is dug in near Saint-Lô. He is 26 years old, a veteran of the Eastern Front. He has survived Kursk. He has survived the retreat through Ukraine. He has seen everything, or so he thinks. It is dawn. He is eating breakfast with his squad. Cold rations, stale bread, ersatz coffee. They are talking about home, about wives and girlfriends, about what they will do when the war is over. Hans hears nothing. No whistle, no warning. The world simply explodes. 200 shells, 1 second. The concussion throws him against the hedgerow. His ears rupture.
His vision goes white. When he can see again, his squad is gone. Not dead, gone. There are no bodies. There are only pieces. A hand here, a boot there, a helmet with something red inside. Hans screams, but he cannot hear himself scream. He will never hear properly again. He is the only survivor. 7 men, 1 second, gone. The German soldiers in Normandy develop a hierarchy of fear. At the bottom, American infantry. Dangerous but manageable. They can be fought. They can be killed. In the middle, the Yabos, the fighter bombers, P-47 Thunderbolts. They strafe. They bomb.
They are terrifying. But the Yabos go away at night. The Yabos go away in bad weather. The Yabos can be heard coming. At the top, above everything else, is the artillery. The artillery never stops. Day, night, rain, fog, it does not matter. The shells come, always, forever. German soldiers cannot move in daylight. Every movement draws fire. A squad crossing a field, a truck on a road, an officer looking through binoculars. The forward observers see everything. The FDC responds in minutes. The shells follow. German soldiers cannot sleep at night. Harassing fire, random shells, every hour, every half hour. Not enough to kill, just enough to keep them awake, just enough to break them. German letters home tell the story. The American artillery is inhuman. It never stops. We cannot move. We cannot rest. We live like rats, hiding in holes, waiting for the next barrage. Yesterday we lost 12 men to a single volley. There was no warning. One moment they were alive, the next moment they were smoke. I have fought in Russia. I have faced the Katyushas. But this is worse. The Russians spray rockets everywhere. The Americans put every shell exactly where they want it. There is no escape. The men are breaking, not from the infantry, not from the tanks, from the waiting, from the knowledge that death can come at any second, from any direction, without any warning. The letters are censored, the complaints are suppressed, but the truth spreads. The American artillery is not a weapon. It is a force of nature. Invisible, inevitable, inescapable. Normandy consumes shells. In June alone, American artillery fires over 2 million rounds. 2 million. The logistics are staggering. Ships crossing the Atlantic, trucks rolling from the beaches, stockpiles growing behind the lines. The Germans cannot match this. They are running out of everything: shells, guns, men. The Americans have unlimited shells, unlimited guns, and a system that turns all of it into precision death. The bocage falls, hedgerow by hedgerow, field by field, body by body. The mathematical doom grinds forward, and the Germans can do nothing but die. But the worst is yet to come. In December, in the snow, at a place called Bastogne. Time on target will reach its ultimate expression, and the Wehrmacht will learn what annihilation truly means. December 1944, the Ardennes, Belgium. The Wehrmacht has launched its final gamble, Operation Wacht am Rhein. 3 armies, 400,000 men, the last reserves of the Third Reich. They have punched through the American lines. They have created a bulge 50 miles deep. They are racing for Antwerp. And in the centre of the chaos, surrounded, cut off, freezing, Bastogne. The 101st Airborne Division holds the town. 18,000 men, no winter clothing,
no heavy weapons, almost no ammunition. The Germans have demanded surrender. General Nikolov has replied with one word: nuts. But defiance does not stop panzers. Defiance does not feed starving soldiers. Defiance does not break a siege. Bastogne needs relief. Bastogne needs it now. Patton's Third Army is coming, racing north, 100 miles in 48 hours. The 4th Armoured Division leads the charge. They are close, so close. But there is a problem. The village of Assenois, 3 miles south of Bastogne, the Germans have fortified it. Infantry, anti-tank guns, dug in deep. The 4th Armoured cannot punch through. Every attack is thrown back. Tanks burn on the frozen roads. Infantry dies in the snow. The relief force is blocked. Bastogne is dying. The clock is running out. December 26th, 1400 hours. A message goes out from 3rd Army headquarters. Priority, flash. All available artillery assets. Concentration. Grid reference 742389. Village of Assenois. Time on target, 1600 hours. The FDCs across the 3rd Army sector receive the message. They begin calculating. 18 artillery battalions respond. 194 guns, scattered across 20 miles of frozen countryside. 105s, 155s, long toms, 8-inch howitzers. Every gun within range, every shell available. One target, one moment. The soldiers call it the Serenade, a love song for the besieged, a death song for the enemy. In 18 different FDCs, the mathematicians go to work. Slide rules click, pencils scratch, maps are measured. Distance from gun Alpha 1 to target, 14,300 meters. Time of flight, 47.3 seconds. Required firing time, 15:59 and 12.7 seconds. Distance from gun Bravo 7 to target, 9,800 meters. Time of flight, 31.8 seconds. Required firing time, 15:59 and 28.2 seconds. And so on, for 194 guns. Every shell must arrive within a 2-second window. 2 seconds. 194 shells from 18 different locations.
The calculations take 45 minutes. The coordination takes another 30.
At 15:30 hours, all batteries report ready.
The fire direction centers synchronize their watches. The gun crews stand by their weapons. The lanyards are in hand.
The Serenade is about to begin.
In Assenois, the German defenders wait. Feldwebel Erich Brandt commands a machine gun position. He is 31 years old, a veteran, a survivor. He knows the Americans are coming. He knows the relief force is close. He knows his job is to hold them back. The afternoon is quiet. Too quiet. Brandt looks at his watch. 15:58. He lights a cigarette. He takes a drag. He exhales. 15:59. The snow is beautiful. The forest is still. The war seems far away. 1600. Brandt never hears the shells. 194 guns fire. Not simultaneously, sequentially, precisely timed. The furthest guns fire first, then the middle guns, then the closest. The shells arc through the frozen sky, converging, from all directions, from all distances.
They cross paths in the air. A web of steel and high explosive, all aimed at one point, all timed to one moment. 1600 hours and 0 seconds. The shells arrive. The impact is not an explosion. It is an erasure. 194 shells, 12,000 pounds of high explosive. 1 second. The village of Assenois ceases to exist. The buildings do not collapse. They vaporize. The defenders do not die. They disappear. The fortifications do not fall. They become craters. The sound reaches the American lines 3 seconds later, not the sound of many explosions, the sound of one explosion, one unimaginable detonation. Soldiers stop and stare. They have never heard anything like it. They will never forget it. When the smoke clears, there is nothing left. No village, no defenders, no resistance. Just a hole in the earth where 200 Germans used to be. The 4th Armoured Division advances. There is no opposition. There is nothing to oppose them. They pass through what used to be Assenois. They do not stop. There is nothing to see. At 16:32 hours, the first Sherman tank enters Bastogne. The siege is broken. The 101st is saved. The Serenade has done its work.
Part 9. The Transformation. 1941. The United States Army is 17th in the world, smaller than Romania, equipped with museum pieces. A joke. 1945. The United States Army is the most powerful military force in human history, the master of firepower, the architect of annihilation. The transformation took 4 years. 4 years of innovation, 4 years of production, 4 years of mathematics. The Fire Direction Center, time on target, massed fires, coordinated destruction. The Germans had better tanks. The Germans had better infantry tactics. The Germans had better individual soldiers. None of it mattered. Because the Americans had the math. The Americans had the system. The Americans had the industrial capacity to turn equations into extinction. After the war, German generals were interviewed. They were asked what they feared most. Not the Sherman tanks, too weak. Not the American infantry, too inexperienced. Not even the Air Force, too weather-dependent. The artillery. Always the artillery. It was the American artillery that broke us, said General Fritz Bayerlein, commander of the Panzer Lehr Division. We could fight your tanks. We could fight your infantry. We could not fight your guns. They were everywhere. They saw everything. They never stopped, and they never missed. The mathematical doom. It did not win the war alone, but it made winning possible. It broke German formations. It shattered German morale. It turned the Wehrmacht into a hunted animal, hiding from the sky, waiting for the shells that always came. The lesson is simple. Wars are not won by bravery alone. Wars are not won by sacrifice alone. Wars are won by systems, by logistics, by mathematics, by the cold calculation of destruction. The Americans understood this. They built a machine for killing, and they fed it with steel and fire and equations. The Germans called it unfair. The Germans called it inhuman. The Germans called it impossible to fight. They were right, and that was the point. If this story changed how you see World War II, hit that subscribe button, because history is not just about heroes charging into battle. It is about men with slide rules in quiet rooms. It is about factories running through the night. It is about systems that turn chaos into precision. The soldiers pulled the triggers, but the mathematicians won the war. And somewhere in the sky over Assenois, 194 shells are still falling. Forever. In perfect synchronization. The serenade that never ends. Next time on Iron Witness, the Soviet sniper who killed 300 Nazis and the psychological warfare that made her a legend.